start the hexagon on the outside, working towards the center. First of all, you need to cast on 79 stitches. I'm using the long tail cast on, so I'm taking a long tail, and I'm casting on directly on my double pointed needles. So I leave one for circulating, and I divide the 79 on my 4 needles, which makes 20 for 3 of them and 19 on the last one. So I'll cast on . So 20 on the first needle. So this is 20, and then the next needle, just continue directly on it. Just make sure you don't get a gap where you change the needles. So 20 on this one. Now you need to have bamboo or wooden needles to do it like this. If you are using heavy metal needles, then you need to do them on one needle and then divide afterwards, because otherwise they'll fall. Bamboo doesn't fall. So I just continue until I have the 79. So 20, 20, 20 and 19 stitches. Then you join them. We cast on an extra stitch. So I'm going to knit the first and the last together so that it closes itself tight. So I moved it onto the left needle and I knit those two together. And then I need to put that stitch back on the left needle. So now this one has 18, and altogether we have 78 stitches, which is what we are going to work on. Then you just knit round once, without any increases, decreases, nothing, just knit once round. And so on until the end of the row. On the second row, we're starting the decreases, going towards here. At first, we have 9 stitches in between the decreases. Then after each row of decreases, we have 1 row without any decreases. Then next time you have 7, then 5, then 3, and then 1, and at the end we knit them together. First we need to do a left leaning decrease. There are various ways of doing it, I'm showing mine. I slip one, slip a second one knitwise, and then I insert the left needle into them and take the yarn through them. So that makes a left leaning decrease. If you like to do that another way, it doesn't matter. Then you knit 9. 8, 9, and then you need a right leaning decrease, so you just knit 2 together. So that's one part of the hexagon now will form here, and then we start in the other one. So I just do the same again. Left leaning decrease, knit 9, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and at the end of the 9, a right leaning decrease. And then I continue like that until the end of the row. A left leaning decrease, 9 stitches, and a right leaning decrease. That's that row done. I always leave the tail here so that I remember where I have started the row. As we go on, and already on this here row, you notice that your decreases can get placed in such a way that they would go over 2 needles, so what I actually do then, I move the stitch onto the next needle so that it makes it easier. But now after every row of decreases you just knit normally round once. So I'll do that now. I have that row done, and then the next row of decreases you need a decrease, 7 stitches in between, and then another decrease for each of the parts of the hexagon. So again I start with the left leaning decrease, slip, slip, and then insert the needle there and knit, and then knit 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and right leaning decrease, just knitting 2 together there, and then continue again, slip, slip, needle in, and where did I put it? Knit, and 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you always need to see that it does get on the same spot as the previous one, and so on until the end of the row. And then after that you do again just 1 row of knitting. So now I have done the second row of decreases as well as the plain row after it. What you will notice now, that often what happens is that the right leaning decreases settle very nicely, but the left leaning ones may not, that they sort of go a zigzag. So you just can help it a bit by pulling the stitch that's in between the decreases to get it nicer. Where's the next one? Here. Just depends how you happen to pull that. And then continue the same way. So again, left leaning decrease, and now you will have 5 stitches in between. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the right leaning decrease, you knit 2 together, so that's until the end of the row. And again after this here row you just knit normally 1 row. So after that it's beginning to look like a hexagon, but we have a bit more to do. The next row goes just in the same way as all the other ones, except that you will have 3 stitches between the first and the second decrease. So you knit 2 together, you knit 3, and then 2 together. And again after this row, a row of plain knitting. This is what it looks like after those rows. And then next you'll do one where there's only 1 stitch in between. So as you can see, we are close to the tip of the triangle now. So first 2 knit together, left leaning decrease, 1 stitch, and then the next 2 together, and like that until the end of the row. These 2 together, and so on. And also after this row you knit a plain row before the last decreases. And after that it's the last row where you need to knit together 3 always, because each triangle has 3 stitches at the top of it. So you slip the first one of those 3 always without knitting it, and then you knit the next 2 together, and then you pull the slipped stitch over the other one like that, so that gets you 3 stitches together. Now here in the next one I take the stitch onto the same needle, so it will be easier to knit them together. Now you will have different numbers of stitches on your needles depending on how and if you have been moving them around. So I'll do the same again. Slip, knit two together, and pull the slipped stitch over there, and so on. So you will end up having 6 stitches, one for each of these here triangles of the hexagon. You need to pull tight that bit, otherwise you may have the last row too loose. And the last one. The last row is always a bit hard. There. So now I have 6 stitches, and then I cut the yarn and pull the thread yarn through all of them, all of the stitches. Is that needle done? Then the rest. Or you can use a darning needle if you prefer, whatever you normally do. And the last stitch. There. So here it is, and I tighten the center of it, and then, as I was saying earlier, you may need to pull some of the stitches to make them more even in the decreases, and then of course before using it you block it, you wet it through, and so that's it done. And then when you have lots of them, you can either sew them together or crochet them together. But that's it done.